What is up, CCD fans? Welcome to another podcast. We're out here today with two familiar faces in the scene. If you don't know, we're out here in PE. We are out here for round 3 of SA National Drags. Kuven, I haven't been here in, 2 years now?
2 years now?
I haven't been here in 2 years, so most of you only started following us recently. You wouldn't have seen any footage from me from PE. I was at the track today, still the same as always. Tell us what to expect with round 3 around the corner. We're starting off tomorrow. What can we expect from the event, entries, all that?
Yeah, well, firstly, the entries aren't as fantastic as they were in at Desi at Midvale. We're sort of like 10, 15 competitors down. But we understand, guys have broken their cars or maybe they couldn't make it this time of the month or this time of the year. But yeah, we think it's going to be fantastic because most of the guys that are in the lead of their classes or in the lead of the championship are actually entering. There's a lot of familiar faces. As we know, PE's got a fantastic track, I've always told the guys, you get down here, that 100 to 200 in PE is fantastic. The track is good. So I think it's going to be great. It's a full 2-day event, like it was at Desi. So the guys have got enough ample opportunity to come in, test their cars, dial it in on a Friday, make sure it's 100%, and then get the best out of it. And we're hoping with 42 cars that we can get the eliminations done, maybe just after midday. Then it gives all the guys an opportunity for 2 to 3 hours to go and try for their PBs on a rubbered-in track. So they're going to get a 2-in-1 event. You're going to get eliminations, and then you're going to get an opportunity to do your PB on a rubbered-in track. And if you do a PB, because it's an official permitted event with the time slip that's official, you can claim that time. So it's the best of both worlds, actually.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, the post only said 1 day initially. That's why I asked you if it's going to be a 2-day event. Unfortunately, I missed out last year, but for those of you who don't know, with PE, the first day, which is the practice day, obviously, with MSA, but the first day is a day-night event, which is the only track that we do the day-night event, so I'm quite excited to see that in person. Last year I was sitting at home on the couch and watching the live, but watching a live stream is never as fun as being out here to see it in person happen.
Yeah, no, it is unique because, PE is a track that has proper lighting. Other types of motorsport like circuit, they have like races that end late. They've had an event in the past where it ran till quite late. We are also fortunate at PE where we can have your street to strip, which is normally at night from 7 p.m. to midnight. So to give the guys an opportunity that are traveling and might not be here in time for the 5 o'clock finish. And also there's the local PE competitors. Some of the guys are working, some of the guys are business owners. It's not convenient for them to come during the day, on a weekday especially. So they've still got a 3-hour window from 5 in the evening till 8 in the evening to come and put down the time. And then also we're hoping it attracts more people to come and watch, because somehow people sort of like the night drag racing, whatever it is.
It is something that we don't see every day. It's a bit of a different feeling. I know at Midvale when we do the events at night, it's fun. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's something completely different.
Definitely.
You have to come out and experience it for yourself.
For sure.
So while we're on that topic, you said that we only got 40, how many entries?
42 entries.
42 entries. So I'm hoping that, because for the first 2 events, the qualifying was always ran past what we had hoped it to run past the time. So hopefully with the 42 entries, we can sort of get the program sorted and get to that initial point, what we discussed in the beginning of the year, where the guys on day 2 can, let's say we run the competition half a day, and the guys can do open runs for everyone traveling from far, instead of running the competition till 5 and there's no time for guys to do open runs.
100%. And I've had for the last couple of years, I've got 2 caps. I've got my cap as an official and somebody that gets involved with the administration of an event. And then I've got my racer's cap. And my racer's cap was actually why I got involved in it, is because I wanted to go out and have fun. But as a racer, as somebody that's competitive, somebody that wants to go out for PBs, if you come on the Friday, get your qualifying and your dial-in done, and if you're on time, and then you're on time on the Saturday, and we finish in, the best part of the day for you to try for a PB is after lunch on the second day when the track has got the most amount of rubber. And if everybody sort of thinks like that, listen, let me get my stuff done on a Friday for qualifying, let's all assist to be on time and get the eliminations done quickly, then we've got a fully rubbery track that's got the best levels of grip, and you've got your best shot at getting in a PB after lunch on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's because I saw the same thing again, and it's always like that, but I saw the same thing happen at Midway this past Sunday when we were there for the Midway Fest. The traction is always good at Midway, but after lunch, and Gunther can confess, after lunch the traction just went, it was like a volume knob turning it from 3 to 10. It just went all the way up after lunch.
Off the roof, yeah.
And it always happens like that.
So, yeah, and I mean, your channel is followed by a lot of races, a lot of drag races, and we all know, if you've got the traction and the traction goes, like you said, from 3 to 10, you're gonna get your best. There's no way that you can't get your best unless your car breaks. But if your car, whatever you were doing in the morning, if you're 60 foot, if you can cut your 60 foot by a tenth or 2/10, you know you're going to go a lot faster. So, I don't know, maybe most of our guys are not as technical as circuit races. Circuit races are very technical. There's a lot of money in circuit racing, you know. Most of the drag races are your normal working class folk. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. But just sort of think, hey, let's take a different approach to it. Let us go there and let us position ourselves and let us get to a point where we're following the schedule and we give ourselves enough time on a fully rubbered track. Instead of us now chasing every event, you know, we go to, we're chasing qualifying on a Saturday morning because the guys couldn't make it on a Friday. And then a lot of guys will come, listen, I'm going to get some runs, Yeah, no, we'll make a plan. And then you end up finishing the eliminations at 4:30. And then you've only got the medics there and the officials there till 5 o'clock, and then you've got to close the track. And a lot of guys do get disappointed, but you know.
And then everyone's complaining, why do you only run the racing till 5 if the sun only goes down at 6? But they don't understand that the medics and all those people are only supposed to be there till a certain time.
100%.
I mean, you can try and leverage them, but that's not the right way to do it.
So I think, you know, it's communication, also a little bit of like, people normally, discipline is a bad word, but not discipline in a bad way. Discipline is that, listen, you get the program well in advance, and even the program, you know, there's a guy that very rarely gets mentioned by name, Alex, from Gas Magazine, that does these programs for nationals, and he works very hard designing these things and whatever, and puts them out, but who actually looks at his program? You know, work goes into it, like you do with all of your podcasts. I mean, there's hours and hours of editing and putting things together and making it, you know, something that people want to watch. And you put the program out, and then guys don't even look at it. And then when they get to the track, we didn't know what time it started.
Still getting teched in at 12 o'clock, stuff like that.
There you go. You see?
Cars teched in.
Exactly. It's the racing, the qualifying eliminations start at 8 o'clock, and the guys are rocking up in the trailer at 3 o'clock. I mean,
exactly. And then, obviously, since I haven't been here recently, you know more what's going on in the senior. Any new cars that we can expect out here?
Well, P's been, the last couple of months has been really quiet. There's been 2 events that's been missed because there haven't been enough competitors. I personally don't know what's going on. On the one side you hear, it's too strict. On the other side you hear, it's too expensive. But, you know, it is what it is, unfortunately. Any form of motorsport is expensive. I don't think drag racing is that expensive on an entry fee in the grand scheme of things. And like anything, your road car, I mean, you can drive, you can say, listen, I don't want to drive at 120. My car can do 250. It's limited to 250. I want to drive at 250 in the freeway. And you're more than welcome to do it. But the law and the regulations and the rules say 120. In certain zones, in 120 or 60. And if you get pulled over, then you're either going to get locked up or you're going to get fined. So it's the same with the I don't like the fact that this should happen and that should happen. It's too strict. But the regulations are there. We have to follow it or we don't follow it.
While we're on the entry fees and stuff, for example, what happened at Tolton with the last event with Rian, obviously they pay an expensive entry fee. 100%. But at the end of the day, when things went wrong, he was airlifted to the hospital.
Yes.
So that entry fee, the margin of entry fee compared to getting a chopper to airlift him to the hospital, it doesn't even compare. But that's the service that he got when he needed it.
100%. So it's like, it's two things there, right? The track, obviously, you pay the entry fee, and you can't race at Tarleton without an MSA license in that kind of event, you know. You've got the street to strip that is, you know, more for guys to not race in the street and come with their street cars. But then you've got the MSA events, be it closed club or regional, whatever. And with your license, you taking an insurance. You have to take an insurance. So you can start off at 50 grand, or you can take the R500,000 cover, I stand to be corrected. But if you need to be airlifted or transported to hospital, no money comes out of your pocket. I think it's 1,000 rand that you pay no matter what. So if the bill is 100 grand and you've got 250,000 insurance, you pay 1,000 rand and you get treated. So you have that comfort, you know, to say that, and there again, you know, I'm sort of trying to be real here. Not everybody can afford medical aid. And if you can't afford medical aid, that's fine. But if you buy your MSA license that's got medical on it, and if you come to race, you know that if something happens to you, you're safe. You're gonna get taken to hospital, you're gonna get treated.
And just to chip in there, like, I'm guessing absolutely no one knew who's watching the videos, but even for me as a media guy, I have my MSA license and I'm covered at the events as well. I'm not even the driver, but I'm still covered.
Exactly.
So basically everyone there that has a license, MSA license to be at the track, and not only for drags, we spoke about it earlier, I can attend literally any MSA event, be it motocross, be it whatever MSA events there are, I can literally go to any event with my MSA license and I'll be covered if something has to go wrong with me at the event.
100%. Yeah, so the MSA license that myself and Alistair and yourself have, that accreditation, we can go to any event because it's more in an official capacity. But your normal guys, you know, and we don't want to talk too much of facts and figures and bore the guys out there. But I mean, an MSA annual license this year in 2024 was 50,000 Rand medical per event. So whether you enter one event or whether you enter 10 MSA events for the whole year, it's 50,000 Rand medical. If you take that option, it's 1,320 for an annual license. So if you like to race and you enter 4 events in Joburg and 2 events in Durban and 1 event in PE and 2 in Cape Town, and you do 10 events, it's costing you 130 bucks per event for a license. And I think that's not a lot of money.
Yeah, and like I say, when something does go wrong, we hope it never does. I mean, that's the nature of the sport. But so is the nature of the sport. It can go wrong at any given time. Yeah. And then you've at least got the support to back it up.
100%. Motorsport, no matter what anybody says, whether you're driving a go-kart at a go-kart circuit, whether it's a motorcycle, a car, drag racing, circuit racing, off-road, rally, accidents can happen because you're attaining some speeds, and or you're driving along and your competitor has an incident and hits into you. But the fact that you have insurance, you have professional people there, fire personnel, marshals, medics, you can be rest assured if something happens, you're going to get taken care of. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen some of the stuff on videos. You've been to some of the events where there's incidents, but you know, as long as the right people are there, you get sorted out. You know that you're going to walk away from the incident, be it the next day if you're in hospital or a week later, you're not going to be left trapped in a car. And you know, as well, like I said, not to be too heavy, but everybody's done street racing. We've all done street racing. We've done things in our lives. Some of it you're proud of, some of it you're not proud of. But if you're racing on the freeway and you have an accident in the middle of the night somewhere and you're trapped in the car, the same car you took to the track that has methanol in the tank in the back, and the car catches a light, what happens to you? But you'd rather go and be it.
So, sorry, just to jump in there, for the guys that don't know, when methanol catches fire, you can't see the flame. So you can be on fire, but if the guys outside of the vehicle don't know that you're running methanol, you can't see the flame. So you'll be up in flames, but there's no orange flame like normal petrol. So yeah, it's a game changer.
It is, and yeah, I don't know. It's difficult. Like I'm saying, you wear 2 caps. I wear 2 caps. being a racer on the one hand and then being an official on the other hand. The racer in you is saying, listen, I just want to go as fast as I want to go, right? I don't care about anything. And then when you sit back and you unpack it, and there's so many guys. I mean, we're a family. We're a community of drag racers, you know. Some tuners don't get on with other tuners, but as racers, you have a rivalry for 400 meters or for 200 meters. But when you finish and you've gotten over losing a race, you go and you get it, you start talking again and whatever. The thing is that we know for a fact that other guys have got families. They've got kids, they've got wives, whatever. And all they want to do is they just want to go fast. They don't care about the safety. But somewhere, somehow, you've got to persuade them, you know, and you've got to be diplomatic. You can't really force things. Guys, listen, you're going to race your car. You don't have the right safety equipment in it. We're talking about methanol. You don't have a fire retardant suit. If you catch a light, nobody's going to see you. And you know what? You end up losing your life. What happens to your wife and kids? But I don't think the racer actually thinks, hey, listen.
They don't think that far.
Yeah, it's just,
the future.
I just want to go fast. I want to break the record. I want to be the fastest of this. They don't think that far. What if something happens? No. Don't worry, man. It hasn't happened. It can never happen. But we've been there. It literally happens in the split second. You don't expect it. It happens. And unless you have the right people, you're in trouble.
And while we on that topic now, maybe you can chime in on that one. With the safety at events, because you do the scrutineering and stuff. So as the guys stepped up, are they doing their bit to ensure that the cars that they bring to the track are safe? Because I know last year there was a massive, I don't want to say like a fight, but it felt like everyone was kicking against this whole safety thing. Is it improving? How's it going nowadays?
Especially notice at Desi that a lot more cars have got roll cages. The guys are buying the race suits. The guys are buying the shoes. They're buying the belts. So Desi was a big change to me. I saw a big change in people's approach. I think we've had some bad incidents and people have realized just how quickly things go wrong, and if you've got the equipment in the car, you've got stand so much of a better chance if something does go wrong. And yes, it is expensive, but the medical fees are way more expensive than any equipment in the car.
Yeah, 100%. So we've had bad incidents, a lot of them this year. At Dalton there was 2. The guys got out just fine, according to my knowledge. Or I won't say just fine. Rian was airlifted to the hospital. I know Ramiz broke his pinky finger. But I mean, the severity of the accident compared to the injuries, compared to that, I think the safety is taking a turn for the best.
100%, 100%. And I think, you know, I mean, Ramiz's accident it was a big shunt, right? I mean, you could see it on the video footage. It was a big shunt. Rian's accident, nobody got footage as detailed as Ramiz because it happened so far down the track. But it was a very serious accident. But if I may go back 1 year, right? This is now round 3 of SA Drag National Challenge. Last year, round 3, you had Nati leading the championship, leading his class and leading the championship. And nobody expected Nati's crest to go the way it went. And Nati's accident was, I think, the most serious we've had throughout the last couple of years, or post-COVID. And yeah, Nati got a bit banged up and he had to go to hospital and get checked out and everything. He was definitely ANA, right? But Nati walked out and a couple of days later, he was back home, right? In his shop, car got back, video was made, put out. Nati's done another video with his new car now, talking about safety. And you can't put a price tag on the fact that he had the right safety equipment. And if you looked at his car anywhere else, yeah, he'd go a little bit squiggly and whatever, but Nati always had it under control. And it literally took that split second, and he was off the track. I mean, that car barrel rolled 6 or 7 times. Yeah. Right? Ended up in such a precarious position on the tire wall. But there again, the marshals were on the scene, the medics were on the scene, the fire guys were on the scene. And yeah, Nati was taken out. He got the best care possible, went back home. You can't put a price tag on it. You really can't put a price tag on it. And his car was properly built. He's not talking about his new car, that I think is even more.
He's stepping up a notch on a car that was already solid on the safety aspect. Look, I'm not a scrutineer, so
Yeah.
I can't give you 100% if his car was perfect. But I heard he's stepping it up a notch, and so yeah, that means him for one has seen what the safety aspect is to be able to go back home, let's say in a week's time,
Yeah.
to be able to go back home and go spend your time with your family. So he's the one who saw it, and now he's stepping it up a notch.
Stepping up a notch.
Coming from a car that was good already.
It was. I mean, it was an iconic car with his trade. I mean, they did a lot of the work themselves. I mean, not a single bar in that car bent or twisted or tweaked. You know, the body, right, with all the shunts and the rolls and whatever. But the roll cage, which was meant to keep him safe, did its job.
Yeah, and I know we spoke about this earlier as well, but just to give you guys an idea of how quickly stuff like this happens. So on Sunday at Midway, we were there, and there was a Datsun that actually rolled over. Basically, like not the burnout box, but he was in the burnout, and he rolled over. So what happened was he was in the burnout. I wasn't filming at the time because I was basically done for the day. But we were standing right next to the start line under a gazebo by the commentator box, for those who know what Midway looks like. And the next moment I saw this guy was coming right towards us, and I think he got a fright and he pulled back, and as he pulled back, he hit the center where the staging light is, and it just flipped the car over. From where he clipped the curb to where the car came to a standstill was, I think, 10 meters, if that much, to show you how slow he went. But just the angle that was perfect, and he rolled the car over. I jumped the wall, and we actually had to push him over. But the movement was so slow that when we pushed him over, we pushed him back onto the curb.
Yeah.
But there was no other way for us. What would we do? Like, we can't drag the car away from the curb, so we had to push the car back onto the curb, and then we were able to push it off. But I mean, I think that was at like 15, maybe 15 km an hour.
Yeah.
But just the angle that he hit the curb, everything was perfect, or in his case, not perfect, and he just flipped the car over.
Yeah, maybe a completely unrelated thing. You know, sometimes you're on YouTube, you're watching, and then you know it leads you down that rabbit hole. A couple of weeks back, I'm sitting and watching stuff, and this carte blanche thing comes up about this bus that overturned and a defective bridge. It was somewhere further north. So yeah, you saw it. So anyway, I started watching it because it seemed sort of interesting. And then there was a whole technique. They had obviously subject matter experts. And basically, the angle at which the bus hit the barrier and the fact that the barrier was already broken and there was exposed rebar and all of that in there, basically when it hits that reinforcing bar, it acted like a hook and it caught into it and pulled it over. So what you're saying now about the incident at Midway is very true. You think, you know what, there's no way that the car can go onto its roof at 15 km an hour. But if it's going that slow, but if it hits the barrier at an angle, right, and whichever way it hits it, it can flip over. I don't know if you remember years ago at Charlton, there was that Toyota Conquest with the Hot Wheels branding on it, where the car went right, went left, and it somersaulted, you know, over it. So you don't necessarily have to be going at 250 km an hour.
Yeah.
You can be going at 60 km an hour, or you can be going like 15 km an hour, and you can still flip your vehicle over.
Yeah, there was another incident at Midway. I think it was about 3, maybe 4 years ago, but I think it was 3 years ago. A black GTR, I think it was a black one, where it flipped over. I don't know if you knew about that incident.
I don't think so.
I
I know about the GTR in Midval.
At Midval, yeah.
Midval,
so
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I filmed it, but I never posted the video. But they basically they put the prep down. So how far does the prep go? I don't even think it goes 100 meters, 80 meters.
80 meters probably, yeah.
And he was spinning in the prep. He was the first guy out after the prep. He was spinning in the prep, and it went sideways, and he clipped the tire barrier, and it also flipped him. But he just landed on his roof like this and was done. There was no speed. But just the angle that he clipped the barrier flipped him over, and he was on the roof.
There you go. I remember that incident. Like I said, he wasn't really going very fast.
Yeah.
If he was down the big end, you know, if he was at full chat just before the quarter mile, okay, maybe. But he wasn't going very fast, but just the angle of attack when he got the car flipped over.
Yeah. So yeah, it happens in the blink of an eye.
No, it does. It really does. And, you know, I think you spend a lot of time going and filming events, putting the footage together, talking about things. You've been with us since day one. Yes, you didn't make 1 or 2 events, but from day one, everybody sees the side of your work where there's close races and heads-up racing and it's fun and enthusiasm and whatever, but they don't catch the other side. Listen, there's a whole bunch that happened that you weren't allowed to film, right? Or there's events that you didn't enter where something happened, right? Be it a Friday night or a street to strip kind of drag or an MSA event or a non-MSA event. I mean, we've bumped into each other at like so-called non-MSA events, but it can happen just like that. It doesn't matter where you're racing. It can happen just like that, and all you can do is you as a driver make sure you're safe and make sure your car's right.
The car's safe. Yeah, that's the most important thing, is to make sure that the car's safe.
So yeah, now as we're chatting now, I mean, our viewers can't see in front of us. I'm looking at the fire extinguisher, the wall here on the other side, and I'm thinking, another safety thing was the competitors' drivers weren't happy. Why do I need to put a fire extinguisher in my car? And we sort of looked at it from last year to this year, and we said, listen, if you have a street car and you're running normal pump gas, 95, or it's a diesel car, you don't need a fire extinguisher, because you driving around in your normal road car, street car, you don't need a fire extinguisher. There's no need to have it. But the reason we said fire extinguisher is because we know our colleagues and our friends will rock up in a street car, but there's a med tank in the boot, okay? And it says nicely on the med tank for race use only. That fire extinguisher in the car is not to put out, if the car catches a light, it's not to put out the car, because it's only like 1.5 kilos. It's not to put the car out. It's if there's a flame on you, to put yourself out and then get out the car as soon as possible. And that was like a huge bone of contention. Why do I need to have a fire extinguisher? I mean, no, it's not practical, Where do you mount it? You've got to find a place to make a special bracket or something. So we said, listen, you know what? In the regulations, if you have a street car that's running pump gas, no fire extinguisher. But then, if you come there and you've got ethanol or methanol or water meth injection, it's not street legal, and you're still in your street car and you don't have a fire extinguisher, then what happens if something goes wrong? And again, I think last year it was, I won't go into specifics, but at round 2 of National Challenge, we had a car catch a light at Midval. And there as well, nobody knows what happened, but it just sporadically caught a light. And luckily, the driver was able to get out the car quick enough. But unfortunately, the car was toast. It burnt so quickly.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to say. It's at the end of the day, it's your car, it's your money.
Yeah.
I think I've seen 2 or 3 at Midval now, that the car caught a light at the bottom, and some were lucky enough to save it, others were not. I mean, it's as easy as rupturing a fuel line.
Yeah.
The fuel goes onto the hot exhaust side of the turbo and catches a light. What are you going to do if you don't have a fire extinguisher?
Yeah.
Whether you're driving a 15-second car or a 9-second car, if it catches a light,
If it catches.
I understand the fact that you say that where do you mount the fire extinguisher and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's your car. It's your money. If you want to see it go up into flames for something as stupid as a ruptured fuel line, I mean, it's where do you draw the line?
Yeah, and I mean, but Alice is not a very talkative person by nature, right? But
for those who didn't notice by this time already.
Yeah, but I mean, he's told me. I mean, we at the same track all the time, and he's told me over the years when we've used like I mean, some guys will call it a zebra clamp. The normal clamp, right? It's used in irrigation and it's used in your engine bay.
Like a normal hose clamp. But we also know it as a zebra clamp.
So he's always said to me, listen, when it comes to fuel lines, I hate those things. Right? Because they're not safe. They can break, they can snap, they can come out. You need to use a proper clamp, or you need to have the lines made where, they have a crimp and a push-on fitting and all of that. And we've gone and we've redone all of that, because there again, if it happens, if a fuel line ruptures or it comes out on an engine that's cold, no harm, no foul, But if the engine's hot and the fuel goes anywhere near the exhaust, exhaust manifold or the downpipe, I mean, that's boiling. Immediately, it's going to burst into flames. And then it's going to be all over the engine bay, and its flames just going to spread. So, you know, those are the things that it's not in the rules. Don't use a hose clamp. Don't use a zebra clamp, right? There's nothing saying that you can't use it. But now you think, listen, I'm running ethanol. I'm running methanol, okay? I'm running race fuel. And rubber can soften, you know?
Yes.
I'm not running stainless steel braided lines. I'm running your normal rubber fuel line. You know, does it make sense for me to just push that thing on? What if it comes loose, you know? But then most of the time, it'll be, you know what, it'll be fine.
And not even a clamp, the fuel lines as well, they do perish, they do weaken. I remember another incident, I don't know if you saw the video, it was a good couple of years ago. I'll get the clip and I'll put it on for you guys. Where Carl from 1320 in the States, he was driving with a guy, I think it was an RS3 sedan, he was driving with a guy on the highway, they were busy making films, rollers. And one of the brake lines ruptured and the brake fluid went onto the disc. While they were traveling, I think it was, let's call it 200. They were obviously racing on the highway, rolling runs. And they couldn't stop the car because the more he pressed on the brakes, the more brake fluid
Leaked out.
And eventually they let everything go and they just cruised and they were hoping for the car to come to a standstill while the flames is coming out. And they eventually made it out of the car. But you hear the panic in his voice, and the car eventually burned down to the ground, but they made it out. They got out while the car was still moving, obviously at a very slow speed, but they couldn't be in the car any longer. So they got out and the car eventually burned to the ground. I mean, it's something as simple as that. You saw the flames and you don't know where it's coming from. The first reaction, you step on the brakes, but it's actually the brakes that's causing the fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll check for the clip and I'll put it on it. I remember that vividly. His voice sitting in the car and he's panicking, but he's got nothing. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's out of his hands, and he's just sitting in a burning car, traveling at speeds on the highway.
Really toasty.
Yeah, I think we shredded it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're flashing their lights at that. Oh. You gotta get stop. Can you stop faster?
Yeah, but I can't stop yet.
No?
I got no brakes.
Oh, okay.
We have some fire.
We need to...
Yeah, I'm trying to get over.
You have an e-brake?
Yeah, just let me get to a good spot.
Use
I don't
e-brake.
think we have a extinguisher. No.
I know, but you gotta stop. We can't be in
Okay,
here.
hold on. Ready?
Yeah.
We got no e-brake.
No e-brake?
No.
How are we gonna get out of here?
I know we're gonna have to
Can you turn the motor on and downshift?
It's
No,
off.
it's dead.
We got no way to get out.
Me.
Hold on. We're just gonna
Can the parachute? No, the parachute pin's still in.
Oh, we're gonna coast right here. You ready to go?
How are we gonna get out? The foot's not gonna do that. Oh my god.
Hold on, I don't want to put you into the wall.
I know.
Just hold up.
Alright. Right here's good.
I got no brakes, bro.
Turn around real quick.
I don't think I can, dude. It's gonna go into the wall.
Oh, it's done.
Oh, it's on fire! Fire! Tell him!
Oh yeah, I got a fire extinguisher.
Yeah, the white Audi. You gotta get out, man.
I know.
Turn it.
There's like literally some grass right here. Ready?
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? We gotta do it fast.
It's going uphill right here.
Okay.
car's on fire.
Here, stop.
Get out! Get out! Get out!
We can't stop.
Get out! Get out!
Whew. Don't open the hood.
Don't open the hood. Anybody have fire?
I got.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Fire extinguisher.
I got water, but we can't open the hood. All right, get back. God damn it. That was fucking scary as fuck. Oh my god. That's so. That was the scariest thing I've ever done. We couldn't stop.
Man, we had a fire train.
Oh my god. Someone call the fire department.
Did you run out already?
Yeah, dude. We need a fire truck.
Did everything I could. Hey, get away!
That was fucking horrifying. I'm like, stop. You're like, I can't stop. I'm like, how the fuck do we get out of here?
I pulled up next to you. I was like,
I
you
know.
gotta stop. You gotta
No, I was
stop.
calling on the
was
radio. I was like, what? I didn't know if you guys knew what was happening or not.
Yeah,
We-
you
yeah.
were on
At
the radio
first, because
too.
like I saw it, like as soon as you guys were going, like I saw sparks and shit,
Yeah.
and I was like, stop.
Oh my god.
I didn't realize
I
your
was about to
brakes were
jump out at like 40 because I didn't know what to do. I was like,
I would like get behind a vehicle in case that thing explodes. That nitrous bomb.
yeah. Oh my god.
Have an e-brake?
I hope they called. No, the e-brake didn't work. I kind of want my GoPro, but I also don't want to go back by the bottle. Yeah, it's okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna risk that.
Yeah. Me personally, it was a massive wake-up call. Again, with my racer's cap, I want to go as fast as I can. I think it was just after we'd done the podcast in Joburg. I went out for a street-to-strip event. We had a list going, and we had to work ourselves up the list. And I got there, and I got up to number 2. Challenged the guy for number 1. I get in the car, but I've taken my Hoosiers off. I've got all the interior back in the car. Dialed it to do 11 seconds, and I jump in the car and I go out, and because it's got the Hoosiers, it spins, and I'm behind the guy because he wanted 2 cars in the hit, and eventually I catch him and I pass him, and I get down to the bottom. I get off the throttle because you don't slam on it. I get off the throttle, let the car brake speed, and I tap on the brake. And as I tap on the brake, the car does a 360, ends up from where I started another 150, 200 meters, went into a flat spin right off the track into the gravel. But one of the studs in the sump came loose, the ARP studs, hit the oil pump chain, shot into, cracked the sump, and oil came on my tires. But you know what? My car wasn't in race mode. My car was in normal street mode, but it was street to strip. And I was like sitting there after the incident. It wasn't an accident. But now me as somebody that's raced for so many years, I was literally, Etienne, I was shaking, I was trembling. But I had my harness on, I had my race suit on, my helmet, my gloves. But I was sitting in the car and shaking because after 30 years of racing, I've never had an incident where my car spun out.
Yeah. Now imagine you were doing, let's say you're doing 11-second run. Imagine you're doing a 9-second run, mid-9s, where you're exiting 250 instead of exiting 180 or 190.
There you go. So
Imagine the difference. You say you skid about for, let's say, 150 meters. Imagine another 50 k's exit on top of that, how far you would have gone.
well, I'm glad you mentioned it because had it been the car in race mode and that same spin would have happened, it would have literally shunted the car. It would have thrown it straight into the tire wall. Right?
Yeah.
It would have thrown it into the tire wall against the banking because you would have been carrying that much more
That much more
velocity.
speed, and you would have been hard on the brakes, and everything escalates.
Everything
once you get to
escalates.
that point.
And it was a massive eye-opener. It was a massive eye-opener. We said to ourselves, listen, you know what? We will not take that car back out to any track, right, at those kind of speeds again. And then an event came up. We reckon, listen, you know what? Let's leave the interior in. We know it's not going to go as fast as it went. Let's leave everything in the car and go. And then, obviously, we had a bit of an incident. We broke the motor. And then we reckon, now listen, you know what? Let's rather go. Let's put the cage in the car. Let's do everything else. Let's not muck around because anything can happen. Because we didn't even get, when we went out for the day event, it was literally on the first run of the day that the car didn't even make it to 200 meters and it broke. And we had said, the month before, we're not doing it again. So it was the universe saying, listen, you said you were not going to race the car again.
And
You
now
went
you
and you
are,
raced it, and the car broke, and now we said, listen, you know what? We have to just stick to it, because imagine now, like you said, it happened. We made a full pass, and the same thing happened. And you end up getting thrown into a tire wall. You're getting, leave the car getting trashed, right?
Possibly getting hurt.
Possibly
yourself.
getting hurt, yeah. Or you hit your head, right? Head injury. You never know. So, yeah, it's difficult because the more you talk about it, the more all the guys think, listen, you guys are nagging and you guys are killing the sport. I mean, I hear that all the time. You guys are killing the sport. You guys have sort of changed the rules. And we're like, we didn't change anything from way back 15 years when the rules were sort of introduced. We went and said, listen, some of the stuff is not relevant anymore. Like from the classes of racing and the categories of racing, we don't have it anymore. I mean, you've got a few guys in South Africa that have got pro mods. I mean, how many guys have got funny cars and pro mods that come to your normal drag racing scene? I mean, you travel around the country.
Yeah, we mostly see them out at Dalton.
Yeah, and I mean, there as well. I mean, I can almost guarantee you that if you put together an event where it's the best of the best of the best, you can never get 40 pro mods to Taunton. I don't know if there's ever been 40 pro mods or 50 pro mods, right? In one.
I don't even think we've got that many,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. If we count all the running ones, I know there's a lot of cars standing here and there and guys are busy, but I don't think we even have those numbers.
So we looked at, I mean, we looked at the type of racing that's happening in terms of categories and classes and all of that. And the cage rule was I think the cage rule, probably the most controversial rule. You guys are killing the sport. You know, I was allowed to race without my seats and without a cage. But it was just that around the track, around the country, the rules were never enforced. Nobody changed it. Alistair didn't change it. I didn't change it. The drag working group didn't change it. We said, listen, let's just enforce it because it's there. Let's enforce it for the safety of all. And we started enforcing it. We even went one step further because the NHRA did us a big favor. The NHRA said any car that's more modern, you know, 2014 and older, was 2013 to 2018 was sort of one bracket. You can go as fast as 10.0 without a cage. As long as you don't strip the car, it's in full street trim, and you can go to 9.0, right, if it's 2014 or younger. But anything older than 2018 must basically then have a cage at, I think it was 12.5 if it's a full car. So we went and we looked at those kind of things, and we still got our guys wanted to come and do 8-second passes without a roll cage. When not even the NHRA, which is the pinnacle of drag racing in the whole world. NHRA, well, World Cup Finals, Haltech World Cup Finals is basically the Formula One of drag racing, if you can call it that. They don't even allow an 8-second car without a cage. Yeah. So, you know,
and the cars are getting scary fast now. I mean, we've got 2 G80s that's running in the 8s locally. Hybrid turbos, not even big turbos.
Not even big turbos.
Running in the 8s. I mean, that is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you got a guy that like Yatin, Ramdale. Yatin can drive his car from home to the track, run a 9.5 and drive back home. You've got my car that my son drives. We drive it to the track, run a 9-second pass and then drive it back home. So like I said, it's gotten to a point where you don't have to work as hard as you used to work to get a 10-second pass.
Yeah.
Back then, you had to work like really hard to get a 10-second pass. Now, to put in that amount of work, you're putting it in for an 8-second pass. Yeah. A 10-second pass with a G80 is not even hard work.
Yeah, nowadays a 9-second pass is not only full-on drag built, purpose-built drag cars. It's street cars that you drive past every day.
Exactly.
With minor mods and they do 8s, 9s.
And I mean, let's be sort of practical about it. When they do testing for cars, the automotive manufacturers, they're testing it at highway speeds, right? So they're not testing it at 250. They're not testing it at 280 or 300. They're testing it at highway speeds, right? So when you drag racing, are you doing highway speeds? No, right? So
maybe on the 60 foot or just past the 60.
There you go, right?
330.
Exactly. I mean, you're saying 60 foot. I mean, most of the like 9-second cars today will accelerate from 0 to 100 in 2.3 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, in 2.3 seconds or 2.4 seconds at the worst, you're doing 100 kilometers per hour. But it's not taking you that much time to get 200 after that, right? And yeah, no, you know what? There's no car manufacturer that tests the car at 250, right? So if something happens to you and you try to claim it, they're going to say sorry, right? First of all, the car was never tested at that speed. And then you go and you take out all the safety equipment from the car. I mean, if you take out a door pad, for example, right? The door pad has got padding and all of that. If you take a door pad and it's just exposed metal, and the metal crumples or it shears and it pierces you, with the door pad there, yeah, something can still happen, but the likelihood is reduced.
Yes.
And you got the curtain airbag and all of that. And I know, there's again, you'd have to actually go and strip a car down, take all the interior out, leave the driver's seat, then go and crash that car head on, crash it sideways to see if the curtain airbag is still going to deploy. Yeah. How can we conclusively say that if we take all the interior out the car, the airbags are still going to deploy? Maybe in some models they'll deploy, but do we know they'll deploy in all models?
Yeah, who's going to test that for us?
Who's going to test it, right? Are you willing to take that chance?
Not me.
Are you willing to take that chance? Are there any guys out there that are willing to sacrifice their G80 or their RS3 or their S3 or their 7R or their A45, any modern car, fast car, any of them, bring it and say, listen.
Do a quick test.
Yeah, quick test. We'll crash the car.
Want to see something.
We'll crash the car and we'll see if the airbag deploys. So this is why we're saying is, if you take out all this stuff, put in the roll cage. If you're gonna put in a race seat, have a proper harness, right? If you have a helmet and not an open face helmet, you know what?
Not a motocross helmet.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did call Jacques, by the way. We're not singling Jacques out in any way, but Jacques actually has purchased all his stuff. He's even sent me his proof of payment as an invoice that he's bought his helmet and all of that. But yeah, the reason for the helmet is because you're in a car, a purpose-built drag car, right? So let's leave the modern cars. Purpose-built drag car has got no airbag, okay? So with your helmet, if, for example, you get moved forward, your belts are maybe not tight or your belts fail, and you come forward and you hit the steering wheel, right? The helmet's going to take the hit. But the helmet's got padding and cushioning and all of that. Now,
you got an open face.
You got an open face helmet, right?
You might as well not have one at that stage.
Exactly. You're going to go straight into it. Or you've got an open face helmet and you're running meth in a car, right? And you get burnt in the face. I think it was at Midval. I think it was a Honda. And if you remember that, a Honda caught fire, and it was just a couple of shoots of flames, and the driver got singed, his hair got singed, and his face got singed. But it wasn't like a full fire, but it was good enough for him to get minor burns, not too serious. But now, the rules say that you need to have a proper helmet, and then you'll get our guys. So you can spend 40 grand on a turbo, you can spend 60 grand on forging a motor, but you can't spend 2,500 buying a proper closed-face helmet.
That's the thing for me. The other day I was bored. I actually went onto Simpson's website and I checked the cost of a helmet.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive.
Yeah.
If you compare, let's say for the guys on the bikes, what do you pay for AGV helmet? 15, 20 grand?
Yeah.
You know what a Simpson helmet costs? You can get them from 5 to about 8. You get ones that goes 12 grand.
Yeah.
But compared to a AGV or something for a bike, it's
Yeah.
not expensive.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8 grand, you can buy yourself a Simpson.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe there's Ferrari supporters amongst the drag racers. Maybe there's Michael Schumacher supporters. I don't know. But, I mean, there's a guy like Michael Schumacher, 7-time world champion, right? One of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport, right? He did skydiving. Skydiving, I mean high velocity, right? Loves skydiving, if you watch his documentary. He raced in all the formulas, retired, and what happens to the guy? He doesn't have that kind of helmet that he had in Formula One. In a skiing accident, then that's the end of Michael Schumacher as we knew him, right? Yeah. So can you actually sit in your car and say, listen, you know what, I don't care. I'll have a little Vespa helmet, or have a motocross helmet that's open face, you know what? Nothing will happen. And then...
Before you continue, when you say Vespa helmet, I'm assuming you are talking to Prian. When Prian, you remember when Raul said he's going to phone Kuven and tell him that you race a 14-second car with no sleeves? I guess he saw the helmet instead of the sleeves. Sorry, Uncle.
Now, we're not singling anybody out, but I'm also talking to Terence with the GTR. Terence, you know who you are. So it's the thing. There's the thing, so some of the guys, and I know Terence, fantastic guy. Priyan, fantastic guy. We'll joke about it, but if you go and say, listen, go buy a proper helmet, they will. But there's other guys where you go and say, listen, you got the wrong helmet, or you got mechanic's gloves. And they sort of so blasé about it, and they think we're actually giving them a hard time.
Instead of understanding the reason behind it.
Yeah, I mean, we're telling you the stuff is not right, but now you're fighting about it. We as officials at an event, we're not telling you your stuff is wrong because we want to give you a hard time. We're actually giving you a hard time. So if something does happen, we're trying to save you. And Alistair and Poofs is not here, unfortunately. He's traveling. I was hoping he could be here because the two of them have been taking the brunt of it. Like he said, Desi, the last event, second round of National Challenge, went a lot better. It was like a massive improvement, from where we started last year for the first event in Midval. More and more cages have been installed. More and more guys have bought their race suits and their helmets and their gloves. So massive improvement, and thank you to everybody that's actually gone and made yourself safer and made your car safer. But there's also then, I think, an even larger contingent of drivers out there who don't want to come to the proper events. They'd rather race on the street, because MSA is giving you a hard time. MSA is killing the sport. Alistair's killing the sport. Kuven's killing the sport. Puven's killing the sport. Harry Naidu's killing the sport, because you guys are too strict. And it's like, you know what? There was a rule book. Maybe the guys before us that were involved didn't enforce it, but we're saying it's there. We're enforcing it. And some of us are actually racers, and we can see the merits of actually having it. And it's not like, it's not the big things, right? It's the small things. And I call them the usual suspects. There's a couple of guys that are always going to do it, not play ball. And then there's other guys where, listen, you know what? We were wrong, we'll sort it out. Some guys have built new cars, right? And they've gone and started from scratch. Some guys have brought their old cars and have just made it safer. And it just has to move on. But by speaking to the guys or actually not allowing them to race, in a year and a half or year and 3/4, I think I've only turned away 2 cars where genuinely there was something wrong. The car was so unsafe that we stopped him from racing. Other guys, we've actually gone and said, okay, listen, take the car away, or Alistair's gone, take the car away, here's my recommendation, do this, do that, whatever, bring it back, and we'll sort it out. And he's let them race, and they've made an effort. Last year, we gave everybody 3 months to sort out their stuff. And some of the guys still think that 1 year later, 3 months is going to apply. But it's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. I think it was a decent amount of time. And
everyone had their fair chance by now. Yeah, so guys, for those of you who are struggling to understand, I think what Kuven is saying is, I want to, like from what he said as well, it's the guys are taking initiative and they're all listening and they're all improving. So I guess thank you for that. Thank you for trying to make an effort. But if you know your stuff is not right, please don't try and bend the rules and do funny stuff. At the end of the day, it's for your own sake. So I think that's basically what it comes down to, is we are seeing an improvement.
Yeah.
But there is still points that's lacking that we can improve on. I mean, as a whole, it's, if you go to street to strip, there's a reason why you can't make a 7-second pass at the street to strip, because we discussed it earlier. The medics at a street to strip is not the same qualified medics as a big event. And you guys might not know that, but there is 2 types of medics from what I understood from our conversation earlier. One is qualified to do certain things, the other one is not. So if they say at a street to strip you can't go faster than a 10-second, for instance, at Dalton. There's a very good reason why they are saying that. Yes, there are medics, but the medics that is there is not qualified to work on you if something goes wrong in that aspect. So we can't have cars going down at 280. That medic is not qualified to do certain things if something goes wrong with you there. But if you go 120 and something goes wrong, the medic should be fine to assist you in that regard.
So I mean, I think
it's difficult for me to explain, but you guys get what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
You know?
So I mean, like, this is now not one of these fun podcasts and fun videos. There's a lot of, like, people like think there's lots of boring stuff here, you know, boring and annoying stuff. But you have the normal paramedic, like the ambulance that would react to the scene of an accident, the first ambulance that would arrive. That ambulance is there basically just to stabilize you. The paramedic can just stabilize you, you know. Then you've got what they call advanced life support, or ALS. If, for example, your heart stops beating, the normal paramedic can't resuscitate you, right? But the ALS, advanced life support, those guys are qualified to resuscitate you. Because think about it, if your head has an impact in an accident and you lose consciousness, the paramedic can't resuscitate you, they can't bring you back, but the advanced life support. So that's why the whole thing about trying to limit how fast you go, and we touched on it as well in this discussion. Yeah, you can have an accident at a slow speed, but you know, you're trying to minimize the danger factor. Make the cars go slower, right, so that danger factor is minimized. The faster you go, you're increasing the risk.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's, I mean, it all escalates. So as the cars get faster, you need to get better medics. The better medics cost you more, so you need your entry to go up to be able to pay the better medic to be at the track. At the end of the day, it's for your own safety.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that goes into making events like this happen. That even me, I never knew about the medic thing up until we spoke about it before this. Which I do understand better now, and that's why I wanted to explain to the guys that. But yeah, I'm excited for the event tomorrow. By the time you guys are watching this, the event would 100% be over. But please come early tomorrow. Don't get tagged in Saturday at lunchtime. We want to have the racing done by Saturday at lunchtime.
Yes.
So you're going to miss this tomorrow, but at Kalani for the final round, please get tagged in early on the Friday. Let's get it done. You're basically killing the fun for everyone if you come late and you miss driver's briefing, and now you have to sit with guys that don't know what's happening, and you need to run around and help them, but the driver's briefing was at 8 and they rock up at 10, getting cars off the trailer by 12, then they need to get tagged in. It's a mess.
It's a discipline thing, and not in a negative way. I mean, we were having an informal discussion before we started with Gunther, that's behind the camera here, and in Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3, like the big, prestigious forms of motorsport, the drivers have their own forum. And when certain drivers do things on the track, the drivers will, amongst themselves, sort that driver out in their forum. We've got drivers or competitors, because we've got riders as well. The guys rock up late, I said it to Desi, maybe we need to have a drivers forum. The drivers need to get together and sort out, again, those usual suspects. It's the same guys over and over again will be late. They won't be they'll be there for drivers meeting. They won't sign the sign-on register unless you call them. They won't get their car scrutineered, or they won't get tagged in full kit, Yeah. It's the same guys. It's discipline, and maybe, right, the driver should get together, or the competitor say, listen, 2 times now you haven't been tagged in on time, 2 times you've come late. You know what? We are telling you we don't want you at the next event, because what you're doing is you're messing up the program. One guy messes up the program, or 2 guys, for everybody.
4 or 5 suspects that makes 50 cars late on the program, and the whole plan of this is to get the guys on a Saturday or on day 2 of racing in the afternoon to have the competition done. Then you can have open runs. That's what we discussed way in the beginning of this year. Then you can run, let's say you dial a 13. If you want to run an 11, you can do that after lunch, but you can't do it during competition. So now guys are coming late. We travel from, let's say, Pretoria or Gauteng to come here. Gunther can't do open run because there's guys coming late. So they push back the whole schedule. Now Gunther can't do an open run, or he gets knocked out in round 1 of competition. He can't do open run because the schedule is pushed back late by the usual guys. I don't know who the usual guys is. I just film the stuff. But yeah, I do agree with you on the on the thing of maybe the drivers getting together and sorting those stuff out amongst themselves.
Yeah, you've seen it.
It's a suggestion. I mean,
You've seen it as well. You have eliminations, and you call whatever class, you know.
you guys are calling them for hours upon hours, calling them, waiting for them to come, and they never come.
And it just doesn't. It happens all over the country, you know. It doesn't matter. And like I said, I mean, I'm being as impartial as possible here. It doesn't matter whether it's at cash days or at Desi drags or at bragging rights, right? It doesn't matter. Whatever event you have eliminations, you have your first round of knockouts, and then you get, instead of getting one class, all the knockouts, the guys go, cool their car, and the next class comes, do their knockouts, cool down the next set, and your next set comes in. You got to call the guys, and you got to hunt for them, and it breaks the whole flow of everything.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Dalton on the big race days. They do it like that. And if they say your slot is, I'm taking an example, if they say your slot is, let's say you're on Pro Street, your slot is 10 to 10:30. If you haven't made a pass, sorry, then you wait for your next round. There's no coming in between other cars. You've got your slot 10 to 10:30, and if you miss it, you miss it. You wait 2 or 3 more hours before you can make a run again. And World Cup finals works the same way. That's why they stick on a schedule. Even with breakdowns, there's sometimes breakdowns that takes longer to clean up, but even with breakdowns, they do stick to the schedule. Same thing happened when we were at Leisner Hill Climb.
Yeah.
We were on schedule the whole weekend, on schedule. If they say something happens at 11, whether there's 3 cars breaking down, at 11 this happens just like they told us it's going to.
And it flows, and it flows. And you know, also, we want to know why drag racing is not so popular and people don't come to drag racing. Is because if there's no sort of flow and, you know, things are not happening according to schedule, people don't want to come and watch it because it's like, you know,
I've been saying this for the longest time, not on camera, but obviously when we're on the line and things happen, you know, we talk amongst each other, and I've been saying this for the longest time. Sometimes events only starts at 12 that was supposed to start at 8. Now the spectator comes there with his family, he sits there at 8 o'clock and there's no racing. He waits till 12 o'clock, so half the day is gone, and the spectator has been sitting there, he's waiting for racing. Us in the pits, we have a fun time, we chat, we know this is the problem, this, that, we have a lack of time. But the spectator, he does not know, he sits on the stands, he's got no idea what's going on. And obviously he's going to get gutful, you know, and say, you know, I'm never coming back again.
Yeah. Or spectators come there, and instead of them watching a drag race, which is 2 cars, except from a standstill, we're watching single runs the whole day, which is not drag racing. I don't know, you know, I don't know where we went from drag racing, 2 cars, to I just want to do a solo pass and I want to put down a time. You know,
and this is the stuff that's supposed to happen after the competition.
Yeah.
Then you can do a solo pass. You don't have to live on the green light. You can run for your personal best or run for a record or whatever. But as soon as the competition is done, the heads-up racing is done. Because
100%.
I mean, watching solo passes is, let's be honest, that's boring.
No, it's boring.
When you run a record, everyone is excited. But out of the 50 runs, how many is going to run a record on the day?
Yeah.
So we're watching 50 runs that is boring for everyone to watch. No competition in it, nothing.
And I mean, I don't think there's a single drag racer out there in the country that can say, I've never raced on the street. I've never done illegal racing. No, none of us can ever say that, right? But back then when you raced on the street, there were 2 of you, you lined up, right? And you went. We didn't have timing equipment in the car. We didn't even measure out a proper quarter mile. It was from point to point that we deemed was our start and finish line. And whoever finished first, crossed the finish line, was the winner. You didn't go there and set the time. And I don't know, maybe the worst thing that ever happened was your P gear or your draggy, right? Because now everybody can have a timing thing in their car, and you know what? I just want to be fast, I just want to be fast. But I tell you what, if you didn't actually beat somebody, did you actually win the race? If somebody didn't line up next to you, was it a race? It wasn't a race. No. Maybe as well, we also got drawn into that with our car about, you know, being the fastest. But by the same token, every time we lined up next to somebody, nobody wanted to race us. Oh no, it's not safe, the car's too fast, go on your own. And then you think, listen, we're here, we spent a lot of money to be here, we might as well just go, you know. But it was a lot of fun. Like I think I remind you, the first time that I met you was at Desi in 2021, and that was all absolutely fun. It was heads-up racing. And then we went around the country, and then we ended up now with this. That's the other thing that needs to change. We need to, 90% of the racing needs to be heads-up, and 10% needs to be, I want to try for the PB. At the moment, it's the other way around. 90% is, I want to do my PB, solo run, and 10% is, you know what, I want to race somebody heads up.
Yeah. No, that is, going for PB is checkbook racing. There's no fun in that. Obviously, it's fun, like I say, when you run a record, but it's more fun beating on someone next to you. That's where it's at.
100%.
But yeah, so I'm excited for the weekend to be back at the track in PE. And to be back with the nationals. To be honest, it hasn't been a long time since the last event. We waited like 6 or 7 months for one event, and now it's 3 like this
in quick succession.
But yeah, I'm excited to be back and excited to see what happens. Thanks for spending time with us. I appreciate that.
And thank you for being here and making the trip all the way. It's great to have you back in PE.
Yeah, thanks, man. See you guys. Not bright and early tomorrow. It's a day-night thing.
It's a day-night thing, so midday start.
We'll be there by a decent hour, let's just say that.
I've got to unfortunately be there by 8 o'clock, so no late start for me.
At least not 5 or 6 o'clock like the other events, but yeah, thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.